Hello students and welcome to the Inclusive Education module. My name is Raisa Mohammed Raycliffe and I'll be your facilitator over the next couple of months for the module. I'm so excited that we get to work together again, especially on a subject as wonderful as inclusive education. I'm very excited that we get to do this together. Inclusive education is quite a broad topic, but it's extremely interesting. And as we work through the various journal articles, videos, and other information that I will upload for you, I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy this topic as much as I do and that you'll understand and grasp the main tenets of inclusive education, which is going to be quite beneficial to you as a teacher, as well as importantly, very beneficial to your students, their families, and the greater school community. So as you may have read from the module guide, the purpose of this module to obviously firstly understand what education is and what it is not. So there are various misconceptions about inclusive education, and those are some of which I hope that we're going to clear up as we progress through this module. Okay, so we also want to ensure that you as a student understand the different theories of inclusive education and learner support, and also to have a clear understanding of the development and background of the concept of inclusive education within a South African context. So I'm going to give you a brief outline of that in the introduction to inclusion, as well as throughout the module. As we go forward, we'll look at where inclusive education has come from, why it is important, and why it is necessary for us to understand it as teachers. And we'll also look at how it can work in the South African context. Again, we'll be learning about what inclusive education is. We'll look at the guiding theories. We'll also look at the policy documents that guide us within this framework, and we'll make sure that you understand how to reach every single learner within your classroom space, which is quite a challenge for teachers and educators, facilitators, and lecturers. How do you get information to every single learner? So that's hopefully part of what we'll answer now in this inclusive education 1, and then as we go through inclusive education 2 as well later in the rest of your clusters. Okay, so unit 1, introduction to inclusive education, quite a lot of reading here. We need to get you a good basis or good foundation upon which we can build future learning, so you're going to be doing quite a bit of reading. Unit 2, investigating the theories on inclusive education and learner support. So what are the theories that underpin the work that we do in this area? Then we're going to look at the policy documents. Remember, policy documents are exceptionally important. They guide us in terms of both what is expected in the South African context, but also specifically as a teacher in the classroom space. Then unit 4, the framework for the support of learners with barriers to learning. This is something that it's going to get more specific here. We're going to look at the ins and outs of learner support, of barriers to learning. And although in this first module of inclusive education, you won't get as many practical skills as you would like, we will touch on them, which will further then go into an inclusive education too. Unit 5 then is for the skills for identification of barriers to learning, and that will get a bit more technical in our information. In terms of assessments, we have quite a mixed batch of assessment types. We have quizzes, workshops, forum discussions, written assignments, etc. I want you just to think back on those of you who have done the workshop planning in the previous module. That was to set a foundation for the work that you'll be doing now. It's going to help you to develop your workshop planning skills, because it's something you're going to have to do in your professional life as well. But also it's going to be a big part of what our final or summative assessment is going to be for this module. So I look forward to sharing more about that summative assessment with you, because it is quite a big task and you're going to be getting the rubric quite soon in order for you to start as soon as possible. But we'll talk about that in the next slide. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your final assessment. It's quite a big one. You will receive the rubric in the next week or 2. So this final assessment is not just for me to give you a mark. It's also importantly for you to use as future resources in your professional capacity. So what I'll be doing is I'll be providing a list of barriers to learning. These could be things like ADHD, autism, specific learning disorder, dyscalculia, etc. You will then choose a barrier to learning, and it's going to be on a first come, first serve basis. So depending on how quickly you get to the list, you'll be able to choose the barrier to learning. You will then do research on the topic. So this research will be in-depth information on exactly what the barrier to learning is, how it presents in classrooms, how you can make accommodations for learning, etc. You will then create a workshop presentation. So very similar to what I'm doing now. You either create slides that you add sound to, or you can have a more interactive video, depending on what is better for you. You will then add sound and resources. So resources include things like websites that can be visited to extend our learning, pamphlets, etc. You will then upload your presentation to a sharing platform, which other students in your cluster will have access to. So not only will you be getting a mark for this assessment, but you'll also be using it as a resource that other professionals, your classmates, will have access to and can use in future. So you have to make sure your information is on point. You have to make sure you have good references. You have to make sure it's something that can be used by your classmates. Because remember, there are a huge number of learning barriers. If you have to do assignments on every single one, you're going to be working for a very long time. So instead, the goal is to have every one of you present one topic. We'll then share all of those so we have a pool of workshops for future use. So of course, you have to ask permission before you use these workshop presentations or even extract from these workshop presentations, but we will be sharing them with everybody. We'll then copy it to a personal drive, and then you can either keep it on the shared drive, but also you'll keep it on a personal drive so that you can use it in future. Okay, so that is your final assessment. Again, like I said, the rubric will be shared with you in the next week or two, so you can start working on it quite early. Please make sure you do not use websites from the internet that is not academic websites. You need to use journal articles, textbooks, dependable sources. You cannot just use any source from the internet. And as an example, I'm going to do a workshop for you. So the one topic that you will not be having on your list that is already completed is the HIV and AIDS workshop. I have already put one together for you as an example of what I expect you to do. This workshop may be broken up in two parts because the videos that I do can only go up to 15 minutes, and my workshop may be longer than that. So I'm going to give you an example of what I expect you to do. It's not the only way that it can be done, but it's one of the ways in which it can be done. And you'll really see what I expect from you. You'll see what exactly HIV can be extrapolated to. And it's also going to be an opportunity for you to learn about HIV and the effect on education. And of course, you're going to be able to keep it as a resource for future. So important points to remember. I know you know this, but I'm going to say it again. Referencing is essential. It's absolutely important in what we do, especially as you are further along in your studies. You are expected to get your referencing almost perfect. So please refer to the TOEIC guide if you have any confusion, or as always, please feel free to contact me if you need help. Due dates. At this point in your scholarly journey, due dates are essential. Please do not miss due dates. I cannot extend without you losing marks. So please make sure that you are meeting your deadlines and that you are making any kind of arrangements with lecturers in the event that you are sick or unable to complete your assignment for personal and challenging reasons. Okay, in terms of contact sessions, there are 3 for this module, but obviously, as always, please feel free to contact me should you want to do any one-on-one meetings on the Zoom, Skype, or WhatsApp platforms. Your sources of information, like I said in the previous slide, make sure that your sources of information are of an academic nature. They cannot just be any website you find on the internet. They need to be peer-reviewed articles from journals. They need to be from reliable textbooks and reliable YouTube videos, etc. There's going to be lots and lots and lots and lots of reading in this module. Because this is such a big topic and there's so much work done on this topic and in the field, I'm going to provide a lot of journal articles for you to go through, as well as extracts from textbooks that you can read, because the textbooks are quite expensive and I don't expect you to buy all of them, so I will be scanning in the chapters that I feel are essential for your learning. I know you are very busy and you'll have a lot of work to do, but I would encourage you to do your own research. There's lots of information that I obviously would love to add, but I cannot because you only have so much time to do reading. But I would suggest you do your own research, watch YouTube videos, Find out what inclusive education looks like in the South African context by yourself. Observe what is happening in your environment. Do you feel like inclusive education is something that is being introduced in your spaces? Do you feel like it's something that is very necessary? How do you think it will improve what is happening in your environment at the moment? Our general goal or our overall goal should be becoming agents of social change in our communities and to create access. So, what does this mean? It's not just about you being a teacher and making sure that your learners are meeting the module outcomes, but it is about us changing the way people see education, changing the way students are treated in schools, changing the way people understand what inclusivity is about, and creating access to learners irrespective of their challenges, physical challenges, emotional challenges, neurological challenges, mental challenges, etc. We need to make sure that every child that walks in our classroom is able to learn something because every child can learn. So how are we as teachers making this possible? The goal the long-term goal in my mind for education should be that we have a classroom with students who have visual challenges. Some of them may be blind, some of them may be deaf, some students may be using a wheelchair to get around spaces. Some learners may feel that they don't fit in because of their size, but they should all be in one classroom, made to feel as if they do fit in, that they do belong, that they are accepted. That is what our classroom spaces should look like. We are used to an environment that separates people, that makes students who are different or children are different, feel like they don't belong, and be put into quote unquote special schools. This is not what we should be encouraging. Although it's something that we feel is normal because it's what we've been exposed to, it's not what we should be encouraging in our environments. Our environments should be inclusive spaces where everybody, irrespective of their differences, are accepted and are included. So as you can hear, it's quite a passion project for me. I'm very, very excited and passionate about inclusive education and allowing every child to feel part of an environment. So I'm excited to share this journey with you. Okay, and lastly, the sources of information that I've used are going to be from websites, textbooks, journal articles, slideshows, and video tutorials. We will be obviously using the YouTube platform to watch our videos and for me to upload my videos on. And also, I'm going to depend quite a lot on the discussions that we have together as a class because I will learn from you as much as you will learn from me. I look forward to this journey with you, and please feel free to again contact me should you have any concerns.